Welcome back, everyone, to Aspire to Lead, where we will be discussing the visions, inspirations, and experiences from top educational leaders. My name is Joshua Stamper, and you can connect with me on Twitter or on Instagram at Joshua_Stamper. Aspire listeners, this is a new project that I have, which is the Failure Files, and this is bonus material with administrators. Typically, I ask these questions at an earlier date, and then I take this one question and I create this bonus episode. But today I actually have my guest specifically here for this question and to talk about a special offering that we have, which we're super excited about. And I have the great Michael Earnshaw with me, the punk rock principal himself. What's up, Earnshaw? How are you
doing? Nothing. I feel like I gotta live up some hype now. The great, huh? I've never been told that. No, no, things are good. It's December, so it's a lot of fun here at school. We're riding the roller coaster of emotions between students and staff. So, but no, I'm good, man.
Well, buddy, I want to say that it was a joy to see you just
a
little bit ago. It feels like a long time, but it really wasn't, at Teach Better 22, and it was just fun to see you in person. My first interaction with you obviously was on Twitter, and we interacted there first. But then I remember specifically in 2019, I went into my session and I looked around and I was like, holy cow, Michael Earnshaw is in my session. This is surreal. And then get to meet you and get to see you present there and, have you on the podcast. And I feel like our relationship has only grown through the last couple of years. And then to see you again was such a joy.
It was awesome. Going back to the first Teach Better, dude, your session was the first one I went to, because I had driven that first week, we were on a family vacation in Florida. We just gotten home. And so I left my house 3:34 in the morning, drove to Ohio, and I got there. I walked in, saw Don Epps.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, Stamper's starting. And I remember I went straight to yours. But yeah, Teach Better 22, man, it was the same thing, man. It's hard to explain that conference. And Josh Buckley, my co-host of Punk Rock Classrooms podcast, said the same thing. There's just something different about it because it's more, you're learning. You walk away with so much new knowledge. And a lot of that's not even coming from the sessions you attend. It's just from talking to people in the hallway at the networking events, and just, so many people there through social media, even if you've never interacted. And it's almost like a family reunion in a sense, it's great. So I highly encourage, anybody who's never attended to definitely make the trip to, if they keep it in Ohio. I know he was talking to me about trying to get some relocated events. So, but definitely check out a Teach Better conference if you can.
Yes, and stay tuned. The team is looking to potentially do it again here in 23. So
nice.
I will not be spoiling any news, but those conversations are happening because we just had a phenomenal time, and it was so great to see everyone again. And obviously the team has grown, the community has grown, and man, like you said, the sessions were fantastic, but I felt like I was learning constantly through the entire event. I literally had to take days afterwards to kind of unpack everything that I consumed to make sure that, I was truly getting a good reflection of all that new material.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcast. Now let's get back to the episode.
Buddy, I appreciate you being on here for the Failure Files. And the concept behind this was, I've done hundreds of interviews. I know you have too on your punk rock podcast. And so with these conversations, a lot of times we talk about all the great things our guests, have done. We get practical pieces that people can implement on their campus or in their district. And it's a lot about all the successes. But
right.
As you know, and I have experienced this myself, especially as a young leader, we fail all the time. And I just wanted to know if there was an experience that you went through that, yes, it wasn't successful, but you really felt like if you didn't go through that, you wouldn't truly have learned a really valuable lesson.
Yeah. Like you said, I fail every day. Multiple times a day, right? If you sit back and reflect, you're like, I could have done this differently. I could have done this better. I think one is actually pretty recent. It happened last year, similar to around this time. I remember as a winter. Or some people might think after 11 years of administration, oh, you got it down. You're not making mistakes. But this was a pretty big one. So I'll tell you what it was, and I'll kind of tell you how I fixed it and learned from it. But there was a teacher. She'd come to me, and she had a student that was really struggling, and like the signs were all there, like this kid needed special education services, right? Mom was very, hesitant, like pushed back a lot. There's nothing wrong with him. Even when presented with like the dad in front of her, like, just that very adamant, like, no, not my son. She would blame the teacher that she's not meeting his needs or working with him the way that works best, all this. So the teacher had a lot of conversations with the mom. Some were heated, some were, didn't go so well. And so this teacher had asked me, after we'd gathered enough data that we can recommend testing on our own, she's like, can you please talk to the mom? I want her to know from, like, not me, from you, that here's where the route we're going to go. We're going to recommend your child for testing. Here's why. And I said, of course, absolutely. I have no problem doing that, even though I knew it was probably going to be a very difficult conversation, right? So I had a plan to call this mom. And then the teacher came up to me the next day and was like, oh, I talked to mom yesterday. Everything's good. Things have been smoothed over. So I said, oh, all right, good. Now I took that as like, she took care of it all. So parent teacher conferences were coming around. The teacher comes up to me, it's like 3 days before conferences, and she's like, you talked to, so-and-so's mom about that we're going to be testing. And I looked at her, I said, no. Immediately, like, the tears I welled up in her eyes, and I felt like the biggest failure. And I said, well, you told me everything was good. She goes, I meant like just with our relationship, like she wasn't, upset with me just about everything going on in my class. Like, I didn't even talk to her about recommending the testing. She's coming in and we're supposed to present her with this paperwork. And my heart sank, man. Like, I was like, oh, I let this teacher down. I let this kid down, and I let this parent down, because now this could blow up and be bad for everybody. So I told her, okay, I'll try to fix this. So I immediately went to my office. I called the mom. I was on the phone with the mom for an hour and a half, 2 hours. It ended on a very good terms. Mom was happy with me, with the school, with everything we were trying to do. And I went back and I told the teacher, and I could tell she didn't want to see me, but I let her know, like, hey, look, here is, I talked to mom. Here's the conversation we had. She's good. You don't need to worry about conferences. Like, she's going to be fine. Everything turned out to be fine, right? Everything kind of worked out the way that it should to get this kid the most help. So, I kind of learned, like, I can't just assume things. I need to make sure, like, okay, so you said things are good. You mean with mom and you, or with the situation of testing this child? I need to ask these questions. And I'm not going to lie, like, I don't care how long you've been an educator. Like, no one likes to engage in like those difficult conversations, or no one wants to get involved in like a conflict, right? So part of me kind of took her excuse as an out, and I should have clarified to let her know that I'm there to back her up and support her. So now I'm very clear when I talk to staff, like, okay, you talk to this parent, and I have the bullet points, like, this was discussed in what was the solution, or what was the agreement, and make sure I have all the facts before I walk in or don't make that contact. Because like I said, I mean, I could have lost that trust of that teacher.
Buddy, I've done that countless times, of
right.
the miscommunication, or assuming, intent one way, or, just assuming the words that they use is a resolution that actually didn't occur.
Right.
So I think time is one of those issues too, of I've got 50 things on my desk that I need to get to, and if they took care of it, great.
Right.
And then it doesn't. And then, you're having to backtrack and trying to fix, the mess that was made based on the fact that, you were inactive. So I've done that myself. So I think, probably a lot of administrators that are listening are feeling the pain that you're talking through, because we've all experienced that. And for our new leaders or aspiring leaders, that's a great lesson for them to understand is, in that communication, you better have some clarifying questions to make sure you are on the same page with your staff member, especially something as important as a special education environment work that goes with that. So, buddy, I love your transparency. I'm so glad that you
appreciate
that. Also, I feel like you've also done that within your book, the Educulture Cookbook. I love this resource for administrators, both aspiring and for current. And I'm excited too that we get to partner once again for this holiday season. So, will you share just a little bit with my listeners as far as, what we're doing and how we're partnering together?
Yeah. So this is, like you said, the second holiday season we've done it. How it came out, like both of our books came out, I think, within a few weeks of each other last year. And then, you approached me and kind of was like, hey, what if EduMatch allows us to do like a holiday bundle, both of our books for like a discounted price? And said, yeah, let's try it, because I know, like, for me, like as an educator, there's so many books I want, man. Like there's so many books you want to read, but sometimes it's like, okay, I need to slow down because I got a wife and kids to feed, and I can't just keep ordering everything from Amazon. So we were kind of like, look, let's give as an appreciation to the educators out there who are making a difference and working hard and giving it their all. Like little thank you from us, like get both of our books for this one, cheap price. So I'm hoping, like if you already purchased the bundle last year, purchase it again, give it as a gift, because it's a great deal. It's both of our books for $30.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, the idea behind it is exactly what you were talking about. I mean, we're trying to make sure that folks can get our resource for minimal price, and it's hard. We know that educators aren't getting paid a ton, so we want to make sure that they get this resource without breaking the bank for them. Especially in such a difficult time where you're spending a lot on gifts. So I love EduMatch, just fantastic. Sarah Thomas, just allowing us to do this and to provide this deal to folks. So make sure you go to edumatch.com. If you go in their shop, you'll see right away, it's like right at the top, the holiday bundle for leadership. And you get both the EduCulture cookbook and my Aspire to Lead together in that bundle for $30. And just honored, buddy, not only to know you, learn from you, but then also to have my book in a bundle. I mean, goodness sakes.
It's the opposite. I'm honored to be bundled with your book, man. I remember when I read yours, it's the passion in like your voice. Like I felt like I was walking side by side with you through those stories as through your, your journey to becoming an administrator. So I love it. And I've recommended it to staff members who are kind of on the fence, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do what you do. And well, you should read this book. Like it's a great, great nudge. It's going to make you want to go that way. So,
well, the journey is all about what you make of it, right? I mean, you get to decide if you want to be a punk rock principal or not. So we'll make sure that those links are in the show notes. Earnshaw, I appreciate you so much for what you do in the world of education and helping leaders and aspiring leaders.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for being on the Aspire to Lead bonus episode, The Failure Files.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.